it's also fun because that's a cool story that I just shared about how being a paratrooper and jumping out of a plane with a machine gun in a foreign country and kicking down doors translates to being an entrepreneur.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Reanimated Stories. This is your host, Roger, and today I am joined with Mike Nash. Mike and I have met through you'll guess it, networking. So if you don't think that by this time, whichever episode that we're on, by the time that I release this, that networking does not work, I hope that this changes your mind. I have met some amazing people, really have gotten to know their stories through networking and just through business, and I hope that it has really helped and touched you. Mike, thanks so much I always tend to say, thanks for coming out. I've literally said that to every single guest that I've had, and none of my guests have been like in real life person, like me sitting across from them. So Mike, thanks so much for joining me today.
Hey, there's good reason to put a pair of pants on, even though you can't see that I actually am wearing them.
Right. Yeah. It is. Mike and I were both in the Texas area, but very different places in that. And there is a snowstorm. It's a storm that has gotten really cold. And it's hot in this house. So I'll be honest with you, I'm just wearing shorts. It's hot because I was like, if I go through this podcast wearing pants, I'm going to end up sweating by the time I'm done. Mike, you are a business coach. And I know everybody's thinking, oh boy, he's got another business coach. Yes, I do have another business coach, but not just a business coach. He is a business coach, as he likes to playfully say, for leaders who have ADHD. Mike, would you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, I think the simplest way for me to say it is I help business owners make better decisions faster. I feel like if we are able to make better decisions in business and in life, that our life will probably be better. And that's what I really am trying to help business owners do. A lot of my clients are amazing at whatever it is that they do. Chiropractors, attorneys, general contractors, roofers, they're amazing at that thing, but not necessarily building, growing, scaling, selling a business. And so I help them do those things even better. And the playful part is that I say I'm a business coach for entrepreneurs with ADHD. And that is because I was late diagnosed at 40 years old. Found out that I spent most of my life fighting this uphill battle and not knowing what was going on. And you are, I don't know if the stat says 300 something times more likely to be an entrepreneur if you're neurodivergent. So I just I'm a business coach for entrepreneurs with ADHD, which is almost all of us, whether we're diagnosed, undiagnosed, medicated, unmedicated, self-medicated. Those are my people. So that's what I do.
Yeah, somewhere along that category. Yeah, no, that's awesome. I think that's really cool. Actually, I didn't know that. I didn't know that stat, but it's funny just meeting the certain people that I've met over the past couple of years. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
You see it. It's a lot of us are corporate escapees. Like we tried to earn a living doing what our parents told us to do. Hey, get good grades so you can get a good job and a good company. And we realized that we don't really fit well in that box where we have ideas that we think, why is everybody doing it like this? I think if we did it like this, it might work better. And we bet on ourselves and we've taken a shot. Yeah. So that's really why it is. So I don't do anything to help fix or cure anything about that neurodivergence. I help people lean into the part of what makes them unique. I'll help them lean into that part that is really a true gift and help them build the business, not necessarily undo anything that I feel God has probably done for you as a blessing.
Yeah.
But we live in a world that often doesn't make it feel like it's a blessing for us. And I couldn't disagree more now. Anyway.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's so true. It's interesting because sometimes I do think about that. I'm not necessarily a corporate escapee in the fact that, oh man, for 20 years, I was in corporate America doing this. Yeah. I did have different jobs working for a corporation, but not necessarily like what you would think like management, like high up or anything like that, like VP or anything. But I think that's with every job. But I think that there comes to a point to where you're like, why are we doing it this way? Like, you're wasting so much time? Or it's like, the age old, we're having a meeting to talk about a meeting that's going to be a meeting to prepare for this meeting. Like, why are we doing
that? Caught me by surprise is it's even that way inside the military. I had a dozen years on active duty and about a dozen years in the reserves. And I thought going to corporate, we would get rid of a lot of this ridiculousness. And it's not like it's there for both of them. But I've told this story a couple times before where I was a terrible private in the Army. Like I was the guy, they'd be like, hey, give me 10 privates. And a bunch of people would walk outside and they're like, we need you to unload all the trucks off of this box and put them in the building. And I was the guy that would be like, hey, who's got the keys to the truck? Can we move it closer to the building? And they'd yell at
Yeah.
me, shut up, private. We don't pay you to think. I'm like, okay. But that's the type of stuff that makes us better entrepreneurs is we're like, I
Yeah.
think there's a better way to do this. And
Yeah.
so that's what would happen.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's funny. And even going with that, it's certain things are done in the name of efficiency. We need to have more meetings because we're trying to become more efficient at meetings so that we have more meetings, or we're trying to become more efficient at this. So let's double down and do this thing instead of why not? Why can't, like, why couldn't that have been an email? I remember at one point, when I had left my last job, I wanted to get all the developers there a mug that said this could have been a meeting. And I remember one time or I'm sorry, this could have been an email. And I showed up and I had my background. I changed my Zoom background like real fast. I just had it for a minute, but it said this could have been an email. And I just waited and then I clicked it off and wasn't trying to get fired yet at that point. But yeah, no, that's funny.
Yep.
So Mike, so you spent some time in the military.
Mhm.
Now you are a business coach and you spent some time, but on top of that though, you also have a master's, and not a lot of times do I see business coaches have some sort of certification. I know it could be like a business, like a coaching certification, but you
Mhm.
have you have an MBA, and you don't always see that. I think it just depends. But can you tell us a little bit about that? Just so you were in the military,
Mhm.
you then decided to get your MBA, and now you're a business coach. What were some of the things that kind of led to that?
Oh, so yes, I agree. It seems that a lot of, because you don't have to have certifications to be a business coach and anyone can call themselves a business coach, a lot of them were successful entrepreneurs that had a successful exit. Like they built a business, they were able to sell it off, and now they don't know what to do next. They get a coaching certification, many of them. There are some very good ones. There are some that seem like a waste of time and a waste of paper,
Yeah.
but they use that experience. And what they're doing is they're trying to help people have a similar experience that they did, and they can add
Mm.
an immense value. It's, if somebody's done what you're trying to do, they can probably help coach you along the way. And that is what I have noticed that a lot of coaches are. Some of them are corporate escapees or retirees themselves, and they're doing executive coaching. And that also has its place. But yeah, it's less likely to see them, or at least from my experience, ones that have MBAs, because the majority of the time, my MBA included, it seems like what they're really teaching you is how to climb the corporate ladder, not how to be a great small business owner. And those skill sets don't necessarily have direct correlation. For me, it's a little bit different, but my coaching experience actually came from coaching veterans who were trying to transition from the military to civilian life. And my coaching skills, that's where they were honed. It had nothing to do with business at all. And in the beginning, I thought telling people how they should live their life was coaching, and it couldn't have been further from the truth. Hey, here's what you should do. That's not it. So there is actually a very valuable, important skill set and things that you learn how to do through coaching certifications, which I do have some. That's valuable. But the business, the MBA side, I am really just a coach for business owners. A consultant is usually that person who leaves the MBA, goes to one of the big firms, which I did my interviews with at the McKinsey, Deloitte, KPMG, thought that's where I wanted to go because it was very prestigious. And then I realized that would have been just like me going back to corporate. And I didn't
Yeah.
want that. I wanted to help small business owners. So what's unique for me in my business is I really do truly blend the art of coaching and consulting. A lot of times I'm talking about mindset, belief, clarity, helping those business owners make decisions to decide what it is that they truly want in life, and then working on both the strategy and the tactics on how to achieve it. So there really is a blend of both. They are two different skill sets. When you mentioned that, it seems a little unique that business coaches don't usually have that. And that's because you're not training to do the same thing. And
Yeah.
for a long time, I was trying to be a business consultant that coached. And
Right.
now I know that I am a business coach who consults. And the difference is that
Okay.
I lean forward. I am a coach first. I love
Yeah.
helping business owners and sometimes even just other folks get clarity, work on their belief. And then what they need to do next is the consulting side. But it's harder to sell, or at least I've noticed that, to lead with coaching. But that truly is what I'm doing. I am a coach first, and my clients just happen to be business owners. And my MBA and business acumen, understanding of all that stuff adds a level of value to them that I think they often don't get from a coach that doesn't have it. Oh, does
Yeah.
that makes sense
That
or not?
yeah. No, that does make a lot of sense. In fact, that also makes a lot of sense what you were talking about, just like business coaches in general. And this isn't us trying to rag on business coaches, but that makes a lot of sense because I do see a lot of times when it's okay, this person had a successful exit. Maybe they built up a company, maybe they built up two companies, right? Or they built up a few or something. They had a couple of exits. And then now they're like, I help entrepreneurs do the same thing pretty much. Like they help them
Mhm.
become like a carbon copy of me. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with that, especially if that's what you are looking to do. Yes, I want to build my company up. I want to sell it or I want to
Not
do
just
that. But
that, but I wouldn't argue with the person who saw even more value in it. If someone
yeah,
has a general contracting company and there's an option to have a coach who has grown, built, scaled, and
yeah,
sold a general contracting company, like th- why would they want advice from me on someone who hasn't done that? It's a different
right.
thing. So there's a place for it. And then, but there's other people who are going to want a coach who has my level of credentialing, background, experience. But where I feel like I blend the two together, unlike a lot of folks that have my credentialing, is my blue collar background, upbringing, and enlisted military experience. I am
Mm,
so far from what most people would think of somebody who has an MBA from a tier one research university like I do. They're like, oh, he's not who I thought he was. This guy knows how to
yeah,
swing a hammer and he's could climb a ladder and jumped out of planes, blown stuff up. He's been enlisted, led troops in combat. It's a very unique background that other people are like, I like his vibe. I like his energy. I can trust him. Unlike a different type of background that might give them pause. So different strokes for different
right.
folks. There's a butt for every seat, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that comes across even with like your LinkedIn picture, right? I remember when we were at the summit and you were like, I just want to change it. And you have your hat on backwards, you got your shirt on and not a collared shirt, just a regular
Oh, yeah,
short sleeve
yeah.
shirt on and all that. Yeah. So I think that really does fit that vibe of what you're trying to do. And also on top of that, I love what you do. And you do like a whiskey chat, right? You do your whiskey chat that you're trying to do. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. What I like about what you just described is they're both me wearing a suit and me wearing, a t-shirt, backwards hat. They're both me.
Yeah.
And neither of them are pretending, but I like being that super comfortable version of me would allow the people who wouldn't feel comfortable otherwise for the person who like only rocks the suit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just being a little more raw and vulnerable in a way that lets people know I'm one of you and you're one of me. So when we're talking about playing golf, shooting guns, drinking whiskey, smoking cigars, that type of stuff, it's almost more of just let your vibe attract your tribe.
Yeah.
I felt like in corporate, although I got really nice custom suits and I love to wear them from time to time. I got a collection of cufflinks that are getting dust on them because I'm different. Man, I
Yeah.
wish more people would lean into that and care less what other people think about them. And it's been a blessing to me for my business to shed that. And anyway, your question was all about the whiskey chats. That's something that I'm totally into. I'm a member of a whiskey society here in the DFW area, the
Cool.
Plano Whiskey Society. And I get together with a bunch of people. A lot of them are hardcore whiskey nerds and get into
Nice.
all the things about it. I like to drink whiskey and hang out with my friends,
Yeah.
but there's
Yeah.
even a spectrum for all these. Yes, I was so afraid to put out there that I like smoking cigars and a tobacco pipe and
Yeah.
worrying about the shame or the whatever that people might try to put on me. And I'm like, this is me. Like,
Oh,
you don't have
yeah.
to do what I
Yeah.
do, but
Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, I just like to do the things that I like and I invite people to join me. And my vibe is attracting my tribe. So yeah, I have a happy hour every once in a while. I call it good old fashioned networking because I like to drink old fashions.
Nice.
I invite clients, potential clients, friends to come over that I know they like to drink whiskey and smoke cigars. And sometimes we talk business and sometimes we talk family. It's just what I do.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that there's something about just having a relaxed conversation, whether it's over a beer or a cigar or just at a neutral place where you're just hanging out and you're able to shed that. Sure, you can come in a suit and tie. You can also just come in a shirt and a baseball cap, however you want to show up. And I think that
Yeah.
there's that level of vulnerability there that I think is extremely important because they feel that from you, just like you said. If they're part of your tribe, right? They're being attracted because of your vibe and of what you're doing. That's something that I have personally somewhat, I don't want to say struggle with, but I feel that like here I am. If you're watching the video podcast, I just have my shirt on, right? My t-shirt versus like when I go out and I'm doing like a local networking event, I have inadvertently branded myself, if you will, or shown like I have my button down shirt and I roll up the sleeves and I put the tie on and all that, but
Mhm.
I'm still wearing just like my regular jeans. And I like that. Like I do not mind dressing like that at all. And I think before it was like I had to show people I'm a professional, right?
Mhm.
And then it just was like, that's not really what's showing that I'm a professional, right? It's my work and what I do and all that. But then I was like, let me get rid of the tie. And people started saying, hey, I noticed that you're not wearing your tie because I was literally wearing the same tie and I had 3 shirts that I was always wearing. And so now I wear because people recognize that. And now I feel more comfortable in that, in less of a, okay, I have to wear it because like I have to look professional, and more of, oh, this people actually recognize me, and it draws a great conversation from that. And sometimes I do. I just go in my t-shirt and my jeans and all that, and I'm just hanging out. I'm not necessarily trying to look a certain way. Although I will say I did get voted onto my local chamber of commerce, and I saw out of the corner of my eye my headshot and I said, cool, I am wearing the same exact shirt and tie that I'm wearing today. I either A, need to stop doing that or I need to get a new headshot.
I think it's so fun to let your personality come out however it is that you do it. And fashion is one way that is neat. I gave a speech to a Toastmasters group one time talking about when you look good, you feel good. And when you feel good,
Mm,
you look good. And it's amazing
yeah.
what all these little things that you can do, but they're also good conversation starters. I mentioned my cufflink collection. If I see somebody else wearing cufflinks at a networking event and I've got them on, that's a great conversation starter.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of superhero cufflinks that my kids gave me as
Nice.
Father's Day, Christmas gifts because they're these. When I've got, oh man, I got my Wolverine cufflinks on, or I got my Captain
That's
America
cool.
cufflink. That's fun.
Yeah.
Or it could be the fun socks, something like just let your come out, and fashion is just one way to do it. So yeah, love it.
Yeah. No, I think that's really cool, and I love that. I need to get some cool superhero cufflinks. I used to have some. Speaking of the socks, I had those. They were like Batman and Superman ones, but
Okay.
they had the cape on them. Exactly. Yep. I knew
Yep.
exactly where I was going with that. That's
That's fun.
really cool. So, Mike, you're talking about helping. You had mentioned to me, or you had mentioned at the beginning, hey, I help business owners, entrepreneurs make decisions faster. What are some of these decisions that they're thinking through? Like when you're saying that, okay, I'm helping them think through. Obviously, they know how to run a contracting business. They know how to run a fill in the blank, whatever it is that they're doing, marketing agency, anything like that. And they're
Mhm.
trying to make these decisions. How do you come alongside them and help them start to make those decisions faster?
It begins with clarity on what they are hoping to achieve. You need to know, you need to truly understand also where you are now to know where you want to go, build a map. What are the steps that we're going to take? But if I understand that what they're trying to achieve is to build something that is sellable, if they want to be bought out by someone, then there are going to be different things that we're going to do to make their business more valuable to a potential buyer. If I know they want to build something that they have no desire to sell, if it's more of a lifestyle business, that can help me know what type of advice to give them. Also, I love working with owners who are not all about the money. They have it's their work that they're doing has to make a difference. And that's what's so important to me is I spent 5 years running a nonprofit for wounded and disabled veterans. And after doing work that truly makes a difference in people's lives, I can't just do things that make me or other people money. It needs to make a difference. So if they're a general contractor, their work might not be life changing, but the difference that I'm making to them, if they want to make sure that and all the things that all the decisions that they make, they want to make sure they're taking care of their people. Now we're on to something. So if they're ruthless and they're like, hey, I'm going to get rid of this dude. Oh, he's this, that, or the other. And it's a lot of my business owners have struggle with the decision-making process because they have conflicting values. They have a business and they know that it needs to make money so they can be profitable and make a difference in all the things, but they want to do right, not just by their clients, but by their employees and by everybody. And sometimes there might be a decision where an owner's, this person's been with me for a really long time and I really care about them, but also I can outsource their job to somebody for a fraction of the price. And I help them work through that potential decision that would cause a lot of struggle and pain and be like, okay, hey, how are we? It's wild how often decisions go from strategy and tactics of building, growing, scaling, selling a business to how do I make the best decision to make sure that I'm doing right by people? And I love that. And that is the type of stuff where so many business owners don't have anyone to talk to. A lot of the things they shouldn't be sharing with their employees because they're like, they have different goals in mind. It's like your goals might not be aligned and that can be difficult. Or they have very few peers that have built something that is very similar that they can talk to. And they're also busy and they don't want to be a burden. They've probably exhausted their spouse talking about business and all the things that go along. They're like, and so who do they talk to? Maybe they have a mentor that has done something similar, but it's going to be unique. And so I am a thinking partner to so many of these smaller business owners that don't have like a chief of staff or an executive vice president or a business partner where it's like their goals are aligned. Who do they talk to? That is a lot of what's happening there is they are looking for good advice and they just need, sometimes it's not even advice. Sometimes it's just talking through these things with someone who understands, point them in the right direction. Doesn't even have to give them advice. Sometimes it's, have you considered this? Or what if you did that? Tell me more about that. And it comes really close to almost therapy. It's not performance therapy, but sometimes you can feel it. It can be like, what are the feelings that are coming up as you're trying to decide about that decision? And it's, ooh, okay. But when they talk through it, man, it's amazing what can happen. I don't remember what your question was. It was about helping business owners make better decisions faster, but it's that thinking partner.
No, I think
they don't, too many times these people don't have someone that they can trust that has their best interest at heart that they can talk to. And that's one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah, I think that's such an excellent point because as a business owner, and maybe you have 5, 10 employees, maybe you just have a couple of employees, right? But you're trying to make a decision and there's not really a lot of people that you can talk to about it because now if you silo yourself off and you don't have these other business owners. I know for me, like nobody in my family really is a business owner, has started a business or anything that I really know of. And so it's who do I talk to about that? Like I've never made this decision before. And when you're not surrounding yourself with someone else that's been there or that can have a listening ear to, just like what you said, sometimes you're not even suggesting things. You're just asking questions that allow them to, because now they're talking to somebody and somebody's asking another question and they're like, oh, and you're thinking, how does that make you feel? What do you think about that? I think that's such an important aspect of it. How has, so you have your MBA and you've obviously been doing this, but how, if at all, do you think also because of the varied background that you have, how do you think that, again, if at all, your military background has prepared you or, okay, that kind of prepared me and I brought some of that in?
Man, I guess there's probably a few ways. Let me try to think about the way in which it's probably hit home the hardest. I felt like the time that I spent in the military was, I was in a system that was very structured and they have standard operate. Here's an example. So I was in the 82nd Airborne Division, and we are an entire division of paratroopers, and standard operating procedures are so important for safety, but also there's this thing called the rule of the LGOP, little group of paratroopers. When paratroopers jump out, wind's blowing, they all get, you don't all land in the exact spot where you're supposed to.
Yeah.
And then you have to get together into little groups of paratroopers that might not be the people that you trained with all day, every day for
Oh,
months,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
And so if you were going to do a task, what we call enter and clear a room, and you've got 4 soldiers stacked on a door, you have to know the job of the first man, second man, third man, and fourth man in a stack
Yeah.
and you all have to do it the exact same way to be able to do it safely and with anybody. So the importance of standard operating procedures and drilling and practicing type of things, there's so much value in that in business. We call these things battle drills. They're things that you do over and over again until they become second nature. The Army defines a battle drill as a collective action performed rapidly without applying a deliberate decision-making process. So it's collective action, which means a group of people, performed rapidly, that makes obvious sense, without applying a deliberate decision-making process. There are things that business owners have in their heads about how they do certain things, and they haven't documented it. They haven't trained it to where it's second nature for people. And me training soldiers how to be an LGOP, how to do this thing under pressure while people are shooting at you or whatever it is, like those type of things are so valuable for small businesses where they've got something in their head that they need to get documented and practiced and trained. That's something that I didn't know would translate from the military to entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
But
That's
also,
really cool.
it's also fun because that's a cool story that I just shared about how being a paratrooper and jumping out of a plane with a machine gun in a foreign country and kicking down doors translates to being an entrepreneur. There's something about me being able to do that just, oh man, tell me more. That's fun. So I love that part. And that's just one little example of something that I learned. But in lots of other ways, there are places where my military experience is very, it's not as military as you might think. I was an Army recruiter for a while, and that's business development, sales, all of that stuff, conversion data, ratios. I learned all of that stuff as an Army recruiter before, and that's all inside businesses. Having after action reviews after accomplishing a mission and learning how to make things even better. So there's a lot of correlation from my time in the military to entrepreneurship, getting the job done, doing whatever it takes to get to the finish line. Yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool. I didn't know that about the paratroopers, and that's cool. It makes sense. You don't land at the same spot, and it's okay. You need to know what you're doing regardless of who you're with. You'll need to know what they're doing. And sometimes that happens if you're in a factory, if you're doing sales, all of a sudden somebody's sick or somebody doesn't show up.
The idea of cross-training.
You got to step up. Yeah.
And then also you might be a sergeant, but yet they don't have enough people to clear the room. So you're doing the job of a private sometimes. And you've got to remember, hey, I'm not too fancy or too high ranked to get in here and get the job done. All of those things make great analogies for entrepreneurship, small business ownership, for sure.
Yeah, that really does. That's really cool. Michael, if somebody was thinking like, okay, you know what, I don't make decisions quickly, right? Or I have all this other stuff going on and I'm not really too sure if I'm actually growing in my business. If someone was thinking, okay, maybe I do need to hire a business coach, whether it's you or something, but if they were thinking, okay, I need somebody to hear what I'm saying, to listen to what I'm saying, to ask me those questions, what are some of those things that they need to start thinking about in order to be like, you know what, maybe I do need to reach out to Michael, reach out to somebody to really start that relationship? What are some questions and things that they need to think about?
I don't know if that's what they would say to themselves, but probably some things that would give them pause to think, maybe I do need some help. Has your business plateaued? That is very common because that means I don't know if you're too close in age to me, but I remember playing the first Mario Brothers and getting stuck at a level where you can't beat the boss. This goes for all wherever you are. But That's what happens at a lot of times in businesses is you just hit a boss that you don't know how to beat. And
Mm,
then did you ever
yeah.
watch the video or see people watch videos of people playing video games and how they do it? They're like,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I can totally do it now. That's what's
Yeah.
going on is you just need help
Yeah.
beating a boss that you don't know how to beat yet. And it might
Mm,
be hiring your first key employee, or it might be setting up systems and standard operating procedures and procedures, whatever. That's probably what it is. And you're not like, you will spend so much time, energy, money, stress trying to figure it out on your own compared to the ROI that you get from asking somebody who can get you through it faster. So usually the question is, am I moving at a pace that I'm happy with? Am I progressing? Or have I hit a level and I don't know how to beat this boss? That is a great time to reach out to somebody. And that's why my coaching, I sell 90-day sprints. It's not an ongoing month to month and I hope you stay forever. Nope. I sell
yeah.
90-day sprints. We're going to work on something hard to get you to break through whatever this is, and then we're done. You take a break. And if you want to come back later because you've got another boss that you need to beat, come on. And that's why I love the way that I do it is I'm not trying to be your executive vice president in your company forever. No, you need
Yeah.
me for a short period of time. Let's beat that boss together. You take all the things that you've learned, and now the things that you've learned, you'll be able to use forever. Like
Mm,
it is the gift that keeps on giving when you learn some of the things that you're able to take away from our time together, whether you you're growing your business, that one, or you start a new one, whatever. So that's really cool. People will often find themselves at a plateau, don't know how to beat it. That's a great time to talk to a coach. Another great time is whenever the pain of staying the same has exceeded the pain of change. We've all heard some type of a saying about that. And what
yeah.
I've noticed that even though I don't intentionally seek out female business owner clients, they have often been some of my best clients. And my assumption is that they have a smaller ego. They're willing to ask for help, admit that they
Yeah.
don't know something and do the work. And that's whenever that's very common. So
Yeah.
take that lesson regardless of your gender. Is your ego in your way?
Mm,
And then the last one, the most common thing I hear from clients or potential clients who are about to become clients is, Mike, I wish I met you 3 years ago. So many of them wait until it's too close to, it's almost too late.
yeah.
And they're like,
Yeah.
oh man, why didn't I wish I found you 3 years ago? And they say 3 because that's the number that help them understand you need 3 years of getting your business really dialed in to make it the most valuable for sale. Because it's 3 years of usually tax returns that help create your multiple. So
Okay. Yeah.
whenever I explain to somebody, I'm like, oh man, we can make this year look good or next year look good, but it's 3 years. And they're like, oh man, I wish I met you 3 years ago. Yeah, I get it. That
Awesome.
happens. So yeah, those are the things that would be worthy of considering. Yeah, maybe I should talk to a coach, see how they could help me out.
Yeah. I love that analogy of the boss and all that. And I thought that was actually really cool. It got me thinking of some things while you were talking about that, but I'll have to write those down later. But that's really cool. And also what you said about the ego, because man, how many times do we allow our ego just to honestly just get in the way
Today,
where they're like, oh, I can figure this out. I can do this. And it's funny because just this last week, I was like, no, I was working on something and I was like, no, I can do this. And I was like, no, I really need some help to finish this and to do it well because I can do all of these things, but let me make sure that I'm doing this well. So I had to
I've noticed
really reach out. Like,
as a generalist is that there are so many things like getting an MBA. I had to do really hard, like accounting type stuff. And I did
yeah,
it. Or I got a B. Let's be honest. I got a B in a lot of the accounting type stuff. But there are people that are way better at it that love to do it and can do it
yes,
so much faster. And my ability to give them that gift to outsource it, to let them do it, like that's usually smart. So you got to
yeah,
figure out what's the most valuable thing you can be doing and do that over and over again and start outsourcing as much as you can. That's not your gift.
yeah,
Let other people
yeah.
do what their magic is.
Yeah, that is something that I am definitely learning a lot more and more. It's let me stay in my zone where I can do really well and let me find the things that people can do a lot better than I can and
Yeah.
follow that vision. Mike, it has been a pleasure having you today. So I appreciate you again, not coming out, but for joining me today. Mike, where can people want to connect with you? Where can they find you online?
And it's super easy because I have a unique spelling. There are only two Mike Nashes spelled that way on the whole planet, and the other one is my uncle, and he's a
Nice.
retired school teacher. So if you spell my name right, you'll find me on all the places. But I'm Michael P. I love my uncle Paul. I have an uncle Michael, an uncle Paul, and a grandpa Nash, Michael Paul Nash. So I use my middle initial a lot, Michael P.
Nice.
Nash, on all the things. So if you put Michael and P with an N, you don't even have to spell my name. But yeah,
Nice.
LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, all the thingies. I'm easy to find.
Awesome. Awesome. Great. And we'll have those in the show notes as well. Mike, thanks so much for joining me today. And it was great chatting with you. And I love the different analogies that you came up with and just seeing your background and how that's really shaped what you do so that you can help shape others. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much for coming out today. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
my pleasure.